You're listening to the Social Selling Simplified podcast. Stick around if you too are obsessed with learning things that actually work and believe that success leaves clues. We're all about identifying results-producing roadmaps and getting super clear on how to scale and grow your online business. From part-timer to president, social selling expert Ashley Shaw will help you connect the dots and take the guesswork out of what works to grow a social selling empire. It's time to hear from social selling legends, listen in on truthful conversations, and learn the best tips and tricks to reduce the marketing overwhelm so you can build the social selling business of your dreams. If you're ready to go all in, no holding back, and build the business you've always wanted, you're in the right place. Here's your host, educator, social selling guru, and fitness industry OG, Ashley Shaw.
Welcome to Social Selling Simplified. I'm your host, Ashley Shaw, and today I'm going solo to talk about how to stop feeling like you're selling your soul when inviting. And in today's episode, you're going to learn things like 3 reasons why the Hey Girl Hustle doesn't scientifically set you up for success. We're going to look at how to figure out what your social media post should actually look like to build rapport with your audience. And here's a quick hint, it's not what you think. And then we're going to dive into the biggest difference between selling and solving and how that perspective and mindset switch is absolutely going to change your social selling business. So guys, I'm so excited to be bringing this formula to you today. Thank you so much for tuning in. And without further ado, let's jump into the episode. So guys, to get things kicked off, I want to dive into the 3 reasons why the Hey Girl Hustle doesn't scientifically set you up for success. So in order to do this, I want to give you guys a couple of examples of why this model is broken and just how it relates to everyday life. So one example of this, I always like to bring it back to the dating world because I think we're all familiar. You might be married, you might be someone that has used dating apps before or been involved in how online dating works. But it's like going out with somebody on a date and then asking them on your first date if they want to have kids with you. The point is you're scaring them. The Hey Girl Hustle sets you up for that sort of awkward conversation that it can feel like it's too much too quick, right? When the first thing that you're saying to someone that you haven't ever talked to before is, hey girl, are you on a health and fitness journey too? It just really sets you up for an awkward interaction. Now, I'm not saying that it doesn't work for some people and that they can authentically make it work, but I'm just saying if you are somebody that feels salesy when you're doing this, I totally get it. And there's a reason behind that. The next reason why the Hey Girl Hustle doesn't work is that somebody needs to know, like, and trust you to buy from you. When considering if you have 2 people side by side and they're both selling the same product, you will always go with the person that you like a little bit more, that you trust a little bit more, and that's who you'll choose to buy from. So when the first thing that comes out of your mouth is something like, hey girl, you look great in these yoga pants, then it doesn't allow you to build any of that trust or likability. And the person on the other end of that conversation, that in this case, I'm talking about activewear, those hey girl messages or hey pretty lady, those messages, it just feels super authentic, especially when you've never talked to them before. There's just no basis for an emotional bank account. And what I mean by that is when you ask someone for something, it's like a bank account. If you've never deposited anything in there, you can't expect to withdraw from there. So that's a really important point about know, liking, and trusting someone. And the third reason why is that if this method worked for everyone, then everyone doing it would be a 10-star diamond. And we just know that that's not the case. Coaches can typically keep up with this pace of sending those 50 to 100 invites, and they can keep it up for usually like a month or two at a time. And then they end up feeling super burnt out and not being able to fully dive into their business. So the model is broken, right? This idea that manual labor of, it reminds me actually of the days when we'd be in our gym fitness sales office and you would be sitting there and making hundreds of calls a day. And the people that were persistent and didn't mind picking up the phone and dialing 150 to 200 numbers a day, yeah, they could get away with it. And they could definitely, like, if they looked at it like, this is my job and this is just what I got to do, they would be successful with it. But I always had people that would get into that seat and be like, there's got to be a better way. I can't sit here and make all these phone calls. I'm never going to be successful with it if this is the only way. And that's the point that I really want to make with these three reasons why, is that it's not that this formula can't work for some people, but for a lot of coaches, it doesn't feel natural. They are not used to hearing no of every 20 invites they send, hearing no 19 times. And it doesn't really fill up their cup. So there's sort of this energy transfer of putting energy into something and not getting it back. The other thing I always look at is, how do I react when someone does something like that? And I know with myself, if I buy something from someone online, I'm typically following them for a while. We have some basis of a friendship. I really trust them. I'm watching their photos. I'm seeing the transformation before my eyes. I'm thinking of someone that, well, two girls actually that I follow quite closely, Audrey Quinaulty and Megan Gurton. And they're both in the beauty industry. They both work for or affiliates with a company in the beauty industry. And I watch their stories and I see how beautiful their skin looks. I'm always watching their makeup tutorials and I'm just following the bouncing ball of their life. So when they make a call out to say, hey, we've got this coming up, I'm already drawn into their story. But if they had, let's say, reached out to me in the very, very beginning when we had no rapport and I didn't know anything about them and their kids, and one is a twin mom and the other is a DIYer, like if I didn't have all those details, I really would probably be weirded out if they reached out. So I think it's a personal thing. I really think that when you go into this, you're going to have to use your own judgment if this works for you or if it doesn't. But it's not to say it can't work for some people, but for other people, it will just never be their style. So it's always going to feel inauthentic. So I want to move into this question of, so how do you actually figure out what your social media posts should actually look like to build rapport with your audience? And there's a hint here. It's not exactly what you think. So here's the mistake that most social sellers make, is that they think social media is the place that they're going to make sales. And they focus on this one-dimensional thinking that all sales happen there. Well, I think that that is likened to a business if we think that, oh, all traffic is driven by walk-ins. They're walking by, they see what you got to offer, and they open the door and come in. When really we know that people have to walk by that store a few times, they have to see the billboards, they have to see your advertisement in a magazine, they have to see you in different places in order to want to engage. Marketing is just not a one-dimensional situation, it's a conversation. And the purpose of social media is to speak your manifesto. And what that means is that your values need to be crystal clear to your ideal customer so they can decide, do I want to take this relationship to the next level with this person, Or am I cool here from the outside, just sort of looking in? So I want to give you guys an example of a company that does such an incredible job of this. And I want to talk through some different examples of how they do it. So everyone has heard of Lululemon before. And I think what is really interesting about their ideal customer is they have this muse that they talk about named Ocean. Now she's 32 years old. She makes $100,000 a year. She's engaged. She has a dog. She likes to work out every day. And she's really in the prime of her life. So every post that they're putting out there, they are specifically talking to Ocean. Now, what's great about that is I know there could be a few of you out there thinking, well, I can't just talk to one person. I don't want to exclude anyone. Well, here's the thing. If you're talking to everyone, you're talking to no one. So that's a thing that it's a big deal because you won't break through the noise if you're trying to talk to everyone. And, we all have ideal clients. We really, really like to help, but everyone's at different stages. So you want to be conscious of who you're talking to. Now, the other thing that works really well with this muse for Lululemon is that the people that are younger than her, so she's 32, so the people that are younger than her, they want to be like her. So there's this aspirational drive for people under the age of 32 to want to be like her and get to that point. And the people that are older than her at a different life stage, they want to get back to where she's at, right? To feel fit, to sweat every day, to be bumping around the city with your partner, going for brunch, going for hikes, all that stuff. They know their ideal customer really, really well. And their goal is to bring all her values to life in their social media posts. So if you are like me, you might have a Lululemon gift card in your wallet, or you might have one of their bags that they give out. And if you look at that, those are all their values and their manifesto. So you'll see things on there like friends are more important than money and sweat every day. You'll see floss every day. You'll see all these different values that company truly believes. So what they do is they take those values and that becomes a theme for a social media post. So sweat every day. Maybe it's something they post on the weekend about hikes in the area that are super cool. They're not super busy and you can get your sweat on. Or maybe when it comes to friends are more important than money, maybe it's like a meetup or something happening, or hey, tag your bestie. Make sure you recognize them and everything that they do for you. So their posts really focus on embedding those values. So when somebody comes across their post, they can tell right away. It's like a handshake in the middle of the street. You know right away whether they're your people or not. And you want the people reading your post to have that reaction because you don't want to attract people that are not your ideal customers. That's just a waste of time. The tire kickers that there's no way you're going to make them happy. You really want to focus on your people. And so when you are crystal clear on your values and what you stand for, and that can be something like, I believe in a 20-minute workout. I don't have an hour to get to the gym and the commute before and after. So you got this off spray of another hour with the commute, add kids into it. It's just not something that's maintainable. Maybe that's a value of yours. Now, if you are trying to attract people that have that same belief and they hear your story about that, they're going to be attracted to you and what you have to offer. So that is what your social media posts are all about. It's about living up to those values and attracting people or retracting people away from you. You really want that understanding to be really clear whenever you're putting social media posts out there. Where you actually end up selling comes later. It comes after you've built rapport. You're going to get them into some sort of funnel, and usually that might be email with an opt-in, which we're going to get into in an episode a little bit later. But that is where you start having more of that dialogue about, your services and what you offer. Now, definitely in your social media posts, 1 of 7 is going to be a call to action of some sort, but you definitely don't want to be consistently showing up and talking about your products and selling on social media. When people go on social media, they're looking to relax and to take a bit of a break. Your posts have to be entertaining. They have to be funny. They have to get their attention. And you can do that with values, with humor and values. You can tie those two things in, memes, different things like that. It's just a beautiful way to stop the scroll. So I want to dive into the biggest difference between selling and solving. So a lot of us out there get this kind of icky feeling when we think about having to sell something. Now, the idea behind that is that when you're selling something, you are pushing something on somebody that they don't need. And usually when that happens, when I've seen this happen in all of the sales coaching that I've done in the fitness industry, it's because you don't have enough information. And that's where I think the Hey Girl Hustle lets us down, is that we haven't asked questions, we haven't got enough information. Whereas when you look at yourself as a problem solver, you have to understand what that other person is struggling with. So if we're talking about fitness goals, you need to understand, like, what is their number one goal? Why haven't they been able to achieve it in the past? We need to get measurable here too. What is their specific goal? How long have they been trying to achieve that goal? How important is that goal to them? And how many days a week can they commit to? What's the time frame they can commit to? Those are a lot of questions. And when you have all that intel, then it's much easier to say to the person, based on what you've told me, I know that you don't want to have a long commute to the gym. You really only have 20 to 30 minutes at a time, and you'd be okay with working out 5 days a week. You have some background in boxing and you really love the feel of that. You used to do Tai Bo, and you've got your kids at home. So it's got to be something you can do from the comfort of your home. That is a much more authentic and better conversation than trying to push something on someone when you know nothing about their workout history or anything about their goals. And that is the biggest difference between those two things. That's also the biggest mistake I see, is that people try to jump in to offering something. When I'm on the other end of that, I'm like, dude, you know nothing about me. You don't know. I'm sorry, I'm picking on activewear today, but it's just fresh in my mind. So someone comes to me and they're like, hey, you should be selling this activewear line. And I'm like thinking to myself, dude, you know nothing about me. Maybe I have my own activewear line, or maybe I live in Lulu. You haven't figured out what my problem is. Maybe I tell you, oh, you know what actually I hate about Lulu is the quality of their things. Like, it looks good the first day you wear it, but then it starts to pill. And then I just want to send that stuff back. If you knew that, it would be much easier to lead into the conversation. If you don't, I haven't told you anything to start trying to solve my problems. So it doesn't come across as authentic. And then that's where the breakdown really, really starts to happen. So guys, that is today's episode. I wanted to have something super short and to the point to really get you thinking about how you can stop feeling like you're selling your soul when you're inviting, and take some quick and easy steps to showing up with more authenticity and starting to really build authentic relationships that you can feel really, really good about. Now, if you're someone that has ever felt like you're doing all the things, you're consistent with posting, but sometimes you get caught up in, oh, I'm not really sure how to close. Or maybe you're sharing your journey just like you were told to do, but you aren't seeing that engagement and people wanting to move forward and learn more. Or maybe you feel you get so anxious when you're trying to get people to join, so you end up not inviting because it still feels way too salesy. Then you're definitely going to want to register for my upcoming training, the 4-part formula for inviting, without jumping on the Hey Girl hamster wheel. This training goes in depth into how to finally start creating those authentic relationships through a funnel. Now, this is like funnels 101. We're not going to get crazy here. We're just going to talk about 4 different parts that are going to help you start building authentic relationships with the right messaging that's going to automate that trust and rapport with your ideal customers, so you can really focus on building relationships after you've warmed up your audience. This training is going to teach you exactly how to fix your broken inviting process so that you can finally be heard. And not to mention, show you how successful social sellers are attracting people and doing it in a way that is authentic and really with authority. So make sure you register for the training by going to ashleyshaw.ca/training. That's ashleyshaw.ca/training. And this is how you get your invite to it. So just go to that link and sign up, and all the details will come to you through your email. Thank you guys so much for listening. I will see you on the next episode of Social Selling Simplified.